Hello and welcome. I'm Morris Mohammed and you're watching the English news program on Somaliland National Television. And now for the main stories making headlines. President of Somaliland takes part in Somaliland's 21st anniversary for armed forces. Minister of Interior talks about the illegal ship kept under investigation. Al Jazeera journalist Peter Brest is freed by Egypt. President of Somaliland Ahmed Mohamed Mahmoud Silanyo attended an event commemorating the 21st anniversary of the establishment of Somaliland's armed forces held in Dararweyne.
The President, accompanied by members of cabinet and commanders of the armed forces, attended an event held to mark the 21st anniversary of the establishment of Somaliland's armed forces. Several units of the army marched across the scene where celebrations have been taking place, saluting the President. Members of cabinet and commanders of the National Armed Forces, speaking at the event, corroborated the role the armed forces play in security of Somaliland, as well as ensuring peaceful cohabitation with neighboring nations. They highlighted the achievements made by the National Armed Forces, maintaining security of Somaliland's borders to prevent external threats against the stability of the country. A country acknowledged around the world as a beacon of hope for other post-conflict nations in Africa. President of Somaliland Ahmed Mohamed Mahmoud saluted the remarkable progress the army achieved ever since it was established as a national institution. The President stated that the National Army has been making substantial progress and played a major role in previous peace-building efforts that eventually ensued peace and stability across Somaliland. President Ahmed Silanyo also stressed that his government is committed to increasing the knowledge of members of the armed forces by increasing training programs both in defense and human rights. Somaliland's armed forces have been crucial to ensuring that peace has been restored following the reclamation of Somaliland's independence, and as an institution, the National Armed Forces, and as an institution, the National Army is credited with defending the country by closely working with other security institutions.
Somaliland Minister of Interior Ali Mohammed Waran Adde held a press conference in Berbera where he highlighted the updates on the illegal ship carrying military equipment currently detained by the government of Somaliland. The minister stated that the direction of the ship is still unknown. However, Somaliland's government has been contacted by the government of Sudan, claiming the ownership of this ship. He pointed out that the equipment and the ship are still detained by the government for investigation. Minister of Interior Ali Mohammed Waran Adde continued stating that the administration of Puntland has published false claims about the government of Somaliland on the reality of this ship, and clarified that Somaliland's government has informed the UN and the world through the media first time they captured the ship, and that investigations are still taking place. He further described these claims as unacceptable and backed Somaliland's people. The minister explained that the captured military hardware on the ship contains missiles, military cars, a military ship, and other heavy hardware. Minister of Environment Shukri Haj Ismail held a press conference and spoke about the effects of climate change on the environment.
The minister, speaking at a press conference held at the ministerial headquarters, elaborated on major objectives on environmental preservation and pledged commitment to ensuring that the environment is willfully preserved in cooperation with the citizens. The Minister Shukri Bandare highlighted the risk that rising temperatures pose to the environment and stated that ministerial efforts at preserving environment will target a number of key areas, include reducing local consumption of charcoal. Minister Shukri Bandara reiterated that collective efforts of the ministry in cooperation with residents aim to ensure sustainable progress on environmental preservation.
Deputy Mayor of the capital city Abdulaziz Agawine held a meeting with the committees of the districts responsible of preserving peace within, where he urged them to maintain the stability in the capital city. This meeting was highlighting the recent misdemeanors by the youth and how they began to increase in the recent times. The deputy mayor said that some of these acts were extremely dangerous and that unanimous actions need to be taken. Deputy Mayor Abdulaziz Agawine stressed on the committees attending the meeting to collaborate with the government of Somaliland's efforts to take these youth under investigations to find further resolutions for the current misdemeanors. He also pointed out on the role of every citizen in maintaining the peace and stability of our country and that it's a teamwork where all are needed to be involved in. On the other hand, he further urged all members of these committees to collectively support the government's attempts to strengthen the peace inside the capital city and on the borders of Somaliland. Somaliland diaspora community resided in Oslo, capital of Norway, expressed their admiration and support to the president's recent tour across the regions of Somaliland. An event organized by the Somaliland diaspora community in Norway acknowledged the president of Somaliland's tour to the regions of Somaliland. The president was accompanied on his tour by high-ranking officials of Somaliland's government, where they took supervision tour to some districts for the first time. This event was attended by the ambassador of Somaliland diaspora in Norway, the chairman of Somaliland diaspora in Norway, and other distinguished guests. The chairman of Somaliland community in Oslo, speaking at the opening event, elaborated the admirable tour of the president, which he mentioned will reflect deeply on the development of Somaliland. The chairman also mentioned that this was essential for the people of Somaliland and spoke about how remarkable it will be in our history. Conclusively, the chairman of Somaliland diaspora in Norway also welcomed this step and described it as a fruitful tour. You're still watching our English news program on Somaliland National Television, and now for the main international headlines. Al Jazeera journalist Peter Grist has been freed by Egypt after spending more than a year behind bars. Grist and his two colleagues, Mohammed Fahmy and Bahar Mohammed, were jailed last June on charges including aiding the Muslim Brotherhood. The three were sentenced to 7 to 10 years. The news that Grist had been released was welcomed by his family in Australia, but immediately their thoughts were with the two journalists still in prison. Human rights groups and Western governments condemned the trial of the journalists, and the United Nations questioned Egypt's judicial independence. A global campaign by media outlets kept the plight of the journalists in news. The detention of the journalists has contributed to the tensions between Egypt and Qatar, which owns Al Jazeera. There were smiles all around in Paris on Sunday as Greece's new finance minister discussed a fresh debt deal with his French counterpart. Varoufakis is on a diplomatic offensive to persuade skeptical Eurozone members to agree by the end of May on a plan that does not include Greece accepting further bailout money. Hosting the meeting, French finance minister said France was prepared to help Greece straighten out its finances. Varoufakis stated that his priority is Europe first and foremost. It has been a bumpy first week for the new Greek administration, but for the moment it's holding steadfastly to its election manifesto of ending the existing bailout arrangement when the February 28 aid deadline expires. In the meantime, the government intends to settle a bridging deal with the Troika. The next stop for Varoufakis will be a meeting with his British counterpart George Osborne in London on Monday. A day later, he will head to Rome. And that's all the news for now. Thanks for watching. Until tomorrow, take care.